What's going on, guys? We are in week nine recap. Actually, we're now in week 10, which is unbelievable. This season's really gone by pretty fast, for me at least. So let's get right into it. Let's go in like reverse order this week. Let's go with Fawad and Billy. Let's take a look. So Fawad wins. These guys have reverse records now. We have 8-1 to Bills, the defending champ, 1-8. Um, these teams are just in two different directions. Fawad just has the monster of Gurley, who even in a down week, for Gurley is 16 points, which is insane. Um, with Evans only scoring 2 points, with basically his two wide receivers combining for 11.7, he still finds a way to score 134 with Tevin Coleman, um, the frustrating player he is for my other league because I never know when to start him. This is the week that was definitely the right week to start him. Kittle has been awesome. I think I mentioned this before. He was like a deep sleeper for me in the beginning of this in the draft, but I didn't take him. Whatever. And it looks like now with I guess Garoppolo out, he's actually has helped his value, which is insane to me. But you have James Way with 25, and he just dropped a nuke on Bill's poor team, who Tyreek Hill, Hopkins just doesn't have any running backs. He got screwed over by Fournette, like I have. Yeldon being on a bye hurts, and then Michelle, who you know was going to be good and then got hurt. So try not to look at that. So second one, because I'm going to try to move this along because we have a lot to talk about in the standings. Cam really helps out Gunn's team win, who's now is still in the same position as me, essentially in a 3-game win streak from a 1-5 position, now firmly in the playoff mix. Solid week by him, even though with the Raiders defense not doing anything, or having negative production, it still has good weeks from Gordon and Scantling. Kareem Hunt has been unbelievable this year. 32 points this week, 17, 34, 27, 25, unbelievable weeks. Third ranked running back. JD's team, unfortunately, has lost some life. To say it nicely, he has lost 4 games in a row, and it does not look good for his team at all. With Julio leading the way, Duke Johnson had a really, really good game, but other than that, not much at all. Drops to 3-6. Let's go take a look at Yates and George. This was a huge game, mostly for George, because we'll get into that in a second. Yates now is the sole leader of the division. I am the Guardians of the Galaxy with me, Kaleem, and himself. Mahomes and McCaffrey have been leading the way, and Melvin Gordon have been leading the way for Yates the entire season. Started Chris Herndon, and I'm surprised because he has had some really good weeks, but ballsy start by him and actually put up 8 points with Uzum. I can't say that name. With him, with the Bengal tight end on a bye. Really good week by him. Had 111 points. It was kind of a lower scoring week, I've noticed. A lot of lower scores were winning this week. Because usually 111 might not be enough to win, but this week it was good for Yates because George's team has definitely underperformed in the last 3 weeks. He's on a 3-game losing streak. Only 89 points. He did have David Johnson to buy and Stephon Diggs hurt. Didn't start Demaryius Thomas because he was trying to learn new offense. He didn't really do that much. He had 3 catches. He started off well, and I guess he just didn't do anything after the first quarter and a half. If it wasn't for the Dolphins' defense, he was looking at an all-time low week. Luckily for him, he had the Dolphins' defense to keep him up in the points race because, as of right now, he is out of the playoffs, which is crazy. At 5-4. Um, let's take a look at Hassan and AK. Interesting game because these are two teams who are very high scoring, but the ways they got there have been very different methods. I mean, with AK, his team has come alive, other than Breeze and Kamara. I mean, if Breeze and Kamara, so that's those are his two players. But if these guys like Brandon Cooks, uh, even now Chubb, which is a huge pickup for him, um, he has depth now. I mean, the joke early in the season was just that he had two players. If these guys start producing like they did this game, even with Devontae Adams having a small, not that good of a game, he scored 148. Like this team might be like one of the favorites to win because with this combination, Breeze and Kamara, and the potential of Adams and Cooks week to week, and with Chubb, who has now gotten full clearance to be the starter and most of the carries, with 58 carries in the last 3 games. Watch out for his team. And Hassan still scored 123 points. Very good week by him. And just he ran into the monster that is AK. AJ Green was hurt, really hurt him. Anything else? Not really. I mean, the Bears defense really helped him with the Buffalo. And yeah, he still has running back problems. That's still going to hurt his team. He's still starting people like Breda, Eckler. Hurts his team. So he really needs Antonio Brown, Green, his quarterback, and the defense to always step up for him to come up with points, which they have, because he's one of the highest scoring teams in the league, I believe, still, and I think he's in a playoff spot. Yeah, he is. So we're looking at this game because Kaleem and Mo. Now, Kaleem somehow wins with 99 points because Mo's team is just, it's done. Mo's team is just down for the count, done. Kaleem is now in a playoff spot as well. Now this is interesting because it was on based off of points with Kaleem because he was the 16th. But now, as you see, he's vaulted into the 5th spot because of record, which affects many other things. And the reason why he had a down week is because he had his whole team on a bye. He had Mixon, Barkley, Tate, even Wentz has played really well for him. And the only really startable players he had were like Keenan Allen. I mean, Aaron Jones is good when they give him the ball. And I know AK knows that. Other than that, I mean, Dion Lewis had a good week, but you never know what you're going to get with him looking at these games. So that's why he was more lower scoring. You're going to see that with my team. We're going to see with Odell. He was on a bye, so that obviously hurt Mo. I'm going to give him that, but I mean, ballsy start by starting Fitzpatrick. Dalvin Cook. I mean, if you start Dalvin Cook over Cohen, which you wouldn't do, I mean, he would have been a little closer, but he really couldn't have done anything. So Mo's team is looking pretty bad. And lastly, you got my team with the he changed his name. SN changed his name to Brooklyn Nets because that's my favorite basketball team. Trying to roast me. But then after I beat him, I said I was the Golden State Warriors. So, which is, he does not admit, but I think he has a soft spot for the Warriors, even though he's a Knicks Pistons fan, which I don't, whatever. My team scored 127 points. Really good performance out of Michael Thomas with its cell phone. This is without Thielen put up much. OJ Howard, who I believe SN dropped. Um, yeah, dropped by Brooklyn Nets. I picked him up when he was hurt. I kept him on the bench, and now he's been unbelievable for my team, really since I've had him. Which is good because Jordan Reed has not done anything since the first week. That's really helped my team. 49ers defense I started. I thought that was a good matchup for them. Um, just solid all around, which is like how I want my teams to be. I mean, even if I had like a 10-point performance on my kicker, I mean, I would be in the 130s. Um, with SN, he had Andrew Luck on a bye. I've been in the position where I had to start Derek Carr, so I felt bad for him. Nothing out of Carr. Elliott has not been great the last 2 or 3 weeks, really. Um, he's only the ninth ranked running back. James Conner, a season saver for him and a season ruiner for me because of Le'Veon. Um, he's lucky he has James Conner because I'm not, if he doesn't have James Conner on his team, I'm not sure if he's even 4-5. Um, Juju was a good draft pick by him as well as Adrian Peterson, even though he didn't do anything last week. Adrian Peterson's frustrating because I've been in a position to have players like him where it's like he's awesome. He's been awesome this year. In total, he's the 11th ranked running back. But you never know when to start him. Because I guarantee you he probably, and maybe he did, maybe he started in week 1 against Arizona. But then obviously he started in week 2 because he had such a great week 1 and he only had 6. And then week 3, you're not sure whether to start him or not because, he didn't do good week 2, and maybe the week 1 was just, a fluke. So he's just one of these frustrating players where you never know when to start him. That's what I don't like. I like people like, Adam Thielen, obviously, who is consistent across the board, or even like OJ Howard, who, when he plays, he's always putting up at least 7 or 8 points. If that makes sense. I always like consistency. I mean, you can look at the rating or the ranking in total because he is the 11th ranked running back, but it's a gray area where you never know what type of Adrian Peterson's going to show up. He'll put up 25 or he'll put up 5, which is annoying. So looking at the standings, we have Fawad, 8-1, first seed. That has not changed and probably will not change. Yates, number 2 seed, 6-3, I believe. Let me make sure. He might actually be the third seed. AK is one of the yeah, so he's the second seed. AK, very good showing by him this season. Third seed at 6-3. Now we have a couple of 5-4 teams. We have 3, but only 2 of them actually are in the playoffs. Kaleem, I believe, is now the 4th seed. He's jumped from the 6th to the 4th seed based off of now because he's in with wins. Hassan is the 5th. He is the last 5-4 team who, has a decent point outlook for him because he has 999 points. And that's more than George, who has 901. So he beats him on that. Now, those are the top 5 seeds. The 6th seed is obviously based off of points. And George only has 901. He's being outscored still by a 1-8 team. So we're looking at the highest point scoring team that is not currently in a position to make the playoffs. And as of right now, that would be my team, who started off 1-5 and doesn't have Le'Veon Bell with 1,023 points somehow. Close behind that is Gunn at 1,006. Now, this is crazy because George, I believe, was like 5-1 at one point, but it's looked like it wasn't purely luck, but it was definitely favorable matchups in his favor because he only has 901 points, comparing that to a 1-8 team who has 913. So he's gone from a playoff spot to being almost over 100 points behind me for the, you know, the second or the last playoff spot. Now he's behind, even in the grand scheme of things, he's behind Bill, who's 1-8 in points as well. So what George, I mean, it's definitely not impossible to catch up, to make up 100 points in the next 3 or 4 weeks, next 4 weeks. But he's almost better off now, where he's just got to start winning games. So it's interesting how much it's different for just looking at the standings now. How much it's different for me and for George, because now he's concerned about winning games. What I'm only concerned about now, to be honest with you, I mean, I still would love to win the game because I'm still, I'm 4-5. I could still make it in on wins, and same thing with Gunn too. But now me and Gunn are essentially just looking for points scored. But George in this, fighting for a playoff spot, now he's trying mostly focus on the wins. Um, so I think that's interesting how that worked. Even Mo's team has scored more points than George's. So at the top of a division, he's still not going to make the playoffs because what Fawad said, it's not based off of divisions. It's based off of records for the top five, regardless of division. The division only determines who you play twice. That's it. So the projected playoff bracket does not represent that at all. So it's not even worth looking at. So that's it. I mean, it's I know it's long-winded, but I mean it's crazy how different this is this year, and luckily how it's benefiting me. I'm not complaining. Um, but we still have a lot more season to go. A lot more can change. It's still a huge race because I had like 1,023 points. Raheel is right behind me. He's less than 28 or 20 points behind. So that race is starting to heat up as well. And here are your matchups for next week. You have me and George, which is huge for him, huge for both of us, because look at this. I just want to take I was looking at this earlier. Look at the people who are on buys for both of these teams. I mean, obviously, you're going to score more than 44 points, but my team has Watson, Miller, Collins, Thielen, all on buys. And, my kicker. He has Cousins, Latavius Murray, John Brown, Cortland Sutton on buys. I believe he has some more as well on his bench, which you can't look at here. But that's right. He has Diggs off a buy too. Now the big question is if Le'Veon's going to come back. He's not going to come back this week because it's a Thursday night game. But it's a big wild card because he might be back for the following game, which really helps my team. But yeah, this was fun. This is a crazy outlook on the playoffs with only, let me make sure, 4 weeks to go. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks to go. So it's starting to heat up. It's been a lot of fun this year, and it's going to be a great finish. So good luck to everyone this week, and make sure we get our claims in